Okay, so I thought it would just be easier to make a video than type up a whole direction thing for you to do. So I got my glass bowl. You're gonna need a scale weight. And I got my starter right here. You're gonna go by grams. So you're gonna turn it on and you're gonna make sure it's on the grams function. Zero it out. And we're gonna go ahead and start with the starter. This is very simple. So it calls for 150 grams of starter. So that's about usually like 1 cup. Grab my spatula. So I'm just going to slowly pour it in until my scale says 150. Okay, so I got 150 starter. I'm going to now zero it out again. And it's going to call for 250 grams of water. So let me pause it and grab my 250 grams of water. Okay, so it's 250 grams and it's warm water. I use filtered water from my machine. So it's warm. I have my scale zeroed out and I'm going to put 250 grams all over, but it's okay. So next it calls for 25 grams of olive oil. So let me grab that. And just make sure you zero out your scale every time you add. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the 25 grams of olive oil. Perfect. And then it's going to be 500 grams of flour. Okay, so I got my flour. I'm using unbleached flour, the King Arthur brand. So I'm going to go ahead and start scooping in 500 grams of flour. Okay. Last but not least is the salt. That's 10 grams. Let me zero it out. So 10. Okay, so quick recap. We put all the ingredients in this bowl: the starter, the water, the olive oil, the flour, and the salt. So now we're gonna mix it. You can use a stand mixer or, you know, whatever. I like to do it with my hands. It's just easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and just mix it. It is a little, you know, sticky because of the water, but then eventually. So you're just incorporating your ingredients. Okay, so you're just gonna make sure it's really mixed in there good, knead it really good. The dough's gonna look a little shaggy. That's what you want. You don't, as you do your stretch and folds, it'll start to get like softer and less sticky. Like right now it's kind of sticky. So I'm just gonna, okay. So once that's done, it's gonna look kind of shaggy like that. That's what you want. You're gonna go ahead and get some plastic wrap and you're gonna plastic wrap the top. And I usually like to place mine in the microwave. You're gonna let it sit for 1 hour. After the 1 hour, we're gonna do our first stretch and fold. This is why I kind of wanted just to make a video so you can see exactly how to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and saran wrap this, place it in my microwave, forget about it for an hour and go do some chores. And I'll be back to show you how to do your first stretch and fold. Okay, so we are gonna do our first stretch and fold. Look, it's grown in that hour. We're gonna pull the saran wrap off. And so the stretch and fold is very easy. You're just gonna go in, pull it up, and over to the middle, so you can see. And you're gonna go all the way around to the middle, right? Turn your bowl, same, until you do the whole, every, I guess, corner of the dough. We're gonna center it. And so you kind of start to see it, it doesn't look, it's starting to not look super shaggy anymore. I'm just going to pull it out so you can take a look. But see, it's starting to kind of form. So that's how you do a stretch and fold. There's other folds you can do. I'll show you the other one where you can pick it up from the middle, kind of stretch it out, fold it in half. You can do like those if you want, but I keep it basic and just do the basic stretch and folds. Roll it into a little ball. And now, once you finish the stretch and fold, you're just going to put the plastic wrap back on. And you're going to do 4 stretch and fold. So this was one. So you got 3 more to do. So the next one you're gonna do in 30 minutes. So after this, it's gonna be 30 minutes, another stretch and fold, 30 minutes, another stretch and fold, 30 minutes, another stretch and fold, and then that's your 4 stretch and folds. So I got the first one done. And now I'm gonna put it back for 30 minutes and I'll come back and do the second one. Okay, so after you do the 4 stretch and folds, you're gonna put it away. So like I said, I put mine in the microwave and you're gonna let it bulk ferment. Now this, you just have to keep an eye on because it can take anywhere between 2 hours to like 16 hours depending on temperature of your home. Obviously, the warmer your home, the quicker it's going to bulk ferment. The colder your home, the slower it's going to ferment. So I usually, like every couple hours, look to see how it's growing. So mine's done bulk fermenting. You see it's grown quite a bit. So now I'm going to shape my dough. I'm just going to put some flour. I don't have a fancy schmancy granite countertop, so I have to use my cutting board. So I'm going to put a little bit of flour because it gets sticky. Take the saran wrap off, and I'm going to pour it out onto the board. Let it fall out. Okay. Then I like to scrape the sides because some of it gets stuck and just kind of put it in there. Okay. Now we're going to shape the dough. So I'm going to kind of, excuse me, losing my voice. Pull it out. You're going to fold it in half, and then kind of just roll it like so. And now you're going to work it into a ball. Okay. Okay, so once you got it shaped, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to put it in my pie pan because I feel like this saves it from getting burnt from the Dutch oven because the Dutch oven gets really hot. And then I place this in my Dutch oven. If not, another thing I do is I use these silicone slings, and I made foil balls, and I put the foil balls under the sling so that the dough's not touching the actual Dutch oven because it'll burn the bottom of your bread because it gets really hot and you're baking at 400 degrees. Now after you've placed it in your Dutch oven, you're going to put the lid on and you're going to let it sit for 30 minutes to an hour. I just kind of watch it. It doesn't have to double or anything like that. Just going to grow a little bit because it kind of shrinks once you're like shaping it and all that. And then once that 30 minutes to an hour goes by, I'm going to score it with the design and then you put it in to bake. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I let mine sit for an hour. So now I'm going to put some flour on it because it just makes for pretty decoration. So just kind of sprinkle some on and rub it. Now I'm going to score it. So you could do however you want, But this one I'm going to do lime. And then maybe the typical. So many ways you can do it. Okay. Now, I put the lid on. While that was going, I had already preheated my oven to 450, and now I'm going to put it in. So I'm going to turn it down to 400 because now the oven's really hot. I'm going to place it in. I usually bake it 30 minutes with the lid on and about 10 to 20 minutes with the lid off. I just kind of eye it when it's like nice and golden brown. So let me place it in the oven and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so once you're done baking, you're going to take it out, put them on the cooling rack to cool. Usually I'm baking in the evening, so I just let them cool overnight, and then I'll put them in, I store mine in a Ziploc bag, like how I put yours. I feel like it keeps it, you know, soft and good. You can keep it out. Usually if you keep them out, you store them outside. I've noticed they last about a week. But if you refrigerate it, it seems to last a little bit longer because you got to remember it doesn't have all the preservatives in it, so it goes bad a lot quicker than the bread you buy in the store. So just a quick recap. It's super simple. Don't overthink it. Just throw all the ingredients in the bowl, mix it up, saran wrap it, let it sit for an hour, and then once it sits for that hour, you're going to take it out. You're going to do your first stretch and fold, and then every 30 minutes after that, you're going to do 3 more stretch and folds. So that's like 2 hours total of stretch and folds, right? Not an hour and a half. Once you do the stretch and folds, you're just going to wrap it again, put it wherever you're going to put it, let it bulk ferment. Just keep an eye on it because, again, depending on the temperature of your home is how quickly it's going to bulk ferment. Usually by the evening I'm able to bake my breads. Yesterday I got home a little late, so I ended up just throwing them into the refrigerator and baking them this morning because I just didn't have the time to do it last night because it takes almost like an hour to bake. And then on top of that, you have to let it sit for that 30 minutes to an hour. So I was like, I'm not going to be up till 1 in the morning baking bread. So I went ahead and threw them in the refrigerator in the bowls that they were in and shaped them this morning. Why you've seen me in like 3 different outfits. A lot of people, do that as well. They'll put it in the fridge, and that tends, because it's cold, it'll slow down the fermentation process. But I prefer just trying to do it all in one day. Yesterday I had to do back to school shopping, so that kind of cut into my baking time. And because of that, I don't feel like they rose as much as they normally rise when they're baking, but that's okay. And that's another thing. If it over ferments, it's not going to rise as much as if you put it in, once it's at that peak. So keep it simple. Once it's, you're ready to put it in the oven, you're just going to shape it, put it in whatever you're going to cook it in, let it sit for 30 minutes to an hour, score it with the design that you want, and then throw it in the oven. So you're going to preheat the oven to 450, but when you place the bread to bake in the oven, you're going to turn it down to 400 degrees, okay? About 30 minutes with the lid on and another 20 to 30 minutes with the lid off. And they should be like golden brown. I hope this makes it a lot simpler for you to do, and I can't wait to see your first bread that you attempt to make. It's a process. You'll learn along the way. Don't fear it. You'll be just fine. Trust me. Okay? So, happy baking. One more quick thing that I forgot to mention. Make sure you allow it to cool. Why let it cool overnight? At least like a couple hours, because if you cut it too soon when it's like hot, it tends to like make it kind of gummy. So let it cool before you cut into it.